There was a time I knelt with tears in my eyes and said, God, help me. That may surprise you. You see, people think the Christian life is a constant mountaintop. But let me tell you the truth. Even those who preach the gospel feel fear. Even those who trust God deeply have moments when they cannot breathe because anxiety fills the room. I have walked into silent nights where peace was nowhere to be found. I have sat in places where fear seemed louder than the voice of God. And in those moments, I did not quote theology. I did not argue with my emotions. I simply ran to God, and I found Him waiting. If you are here right now carrying fear in your chest or anxiety in your soul, then this message is for you. You are not weak for feeling like this. You are human. But here is the hope. There is one Bible verse that can crush that fear immediately. One promise that does not depend on your strength or your performance. One truth that carries the power of heaven. Isaiah 41 verse 10. I want to walk you through it today, not just as a preacher, but as a man who has clung to it in the dark. This verse is not a phrase to decorate your wall. It is a lifeline to hold when everything else falls apart. So let me ask you, have you ever had a night when you did not feel God at all? When you closed your eyes and all you could hear was the roar of your thoughts? Then you need this, because Isaiah 41 verse 10 is not written for the perfect, it is written for the crushed, for the ones who are trying to hold on while everything around them shakes. And the first words say this: do not fear, for I am with you. That is not advice. That is a declaration. That is God interrupting the storm and saying, I am here, right now, with you. And I want to take you deeper into this promise, because the power to crush fear does not come from ignoring it. It comes from facing it with the voice of God in your ears. Stay with me. This could change everything. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly believed that God was with you? Not in theory, not in a sermon, but in the very moment you were breaking apart? I am not asking about Sunday mornings or when life feels manageable. I am asking about the nights when no one called, when the bills stacked up, when fear stole your breath and silence became louder than any prayer. In those moments, did you sense Him? Or did fear make you forget who walks beside you? Because the first part of Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, do not fear, for I am with you. That is not comfort for someone else. That is God's voice speaking to you. Not I was with you. Not I might be with you. But I am. That means this very second, in the middle of whatever you are facing, you are not alone. God does not keep His distance. He steps into the hospital room. He stands in the quiet living room where anxiety presses in. He is not watching from heaven, waiting for you to get stronger. He is present now. Let that truth settle in your soul. Because fear begins to die, the moment presence is revealed, but it is not enough to hear it. You must receive it. And that begins with a choice. A choice to say, I am tired of being ruled by fear. A choice to open your hands and say, God, I want to believe this is true for me. So here is what I ask of you. If this speaks to you even a little, if something inside you is saying, I need this kind of peace, then comment right now. Type, I'm ready, or just the number 1. Not because I need numbers, but because I want to know you are here, that you are listening, that you are choosing something different today. Your presence here is not an accident. It means more to me than you know. It tells me I am not speaking into a void. It tells me someone on the other side of this screen is hungry for more, and I thank you for that. More than you know. So if you are ready, let's keep going. Because the next part of this verse will shake the fear that has gripped your life for far too long. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. That is what the verse says next. Short, direct, unshakable. But how often do we live as if that truth were optional? Dismay creeps in when we forget who is in control. It takes root when the world feels louder than the voice of God. It begins when we let circumstances dictate our peace and ends when we remember who our God truly is. Let that sink in. Not just any God, not some idea or philosophy, the God who parted the Red Sea, the God who brought down walls without lifting a sword, the God who calmed storms with a word. That God is yours, that God calls you His. Now tell me, how can fear survive in the presence of that kind of authority? And yet we let fear run our lives. We let it sit at our table and whisper lies into our ears. Why? Because we let dismay grow where remembrance fades. The moment you forget who your God is, you begin to believe the problem is bigger than the promise. That is the danger, and it is subtle. You will not always notice it until it starts to choke your spirit. Und prayer feels hollow. Until you start avoiding stillness because silence reminds you how far you feel from peace. But this verse stands as a wall against that spiral. Do not be dismayed. Not because life is easy, not because the battle is over, but because He is your God in the middle of it. He has not left. He has not surrendered you. He is not pacing heaven wondering what to do next. He is seated in power and speaks these words not as suggestion but as command. Do not be dismayed. And if that unsettles something in you, good. Let it. Let it shake the shallow things. Let it expose where your trust is built on sand, because only then can the foundation be rebuilt on truth. Your God is not threatened by your fear, but He will not compete with your idols. So choose today. Who holds your peace? The storm around you or the God above it? If He is truly your God, then dismay has no place to rest. Let that be the beginning of your freedom. Let it be the end of the lie that you are alone in this. You are not and never were. I once spoke with a man who said, "Billy, I cannot even pray anymore. I sit in silence and nothing comes out. I try to believe, but I feel numb inside." And I looked him in the eyes and said, that is exactly when God steps in, because the next part of Isaiah 41 verse 10 says, I will strengthen you and help you. Not I might, not if you get everything right, not if you feel spiritual enough. God says, I will. It is a promise sealed by His nature, not your performance. And that means something profound. When you are too tired to lift your head, when you cannot form a prayer, when fear has drained you so completely that you feel like a shell, He does not step back. He moves closer. He does not demand strength. He gives it. He does not wait for perfection. He promises help. That is not religious theory. That is the heartbeat of God towards you. And I wonder, have you ever felt so empty that even hope seemed like a stranger? Do not be ashamed to say, yes, I know what that feels like. And I believe many of you listening know. it too? And if you do, would you let me know? Would you take a moment and comment, I'm ready, or just the number one? I read those comments, not for ego, not for numbers, but to know you are here with me, that this message is meeting you where you are. Your voice matters even in silence. And when you write that simple word or number, it tells me we are walking this together, because no one conquers fear alone. God uses truth, but he also uses people. And I want to walk with you in this. So if you are listening, if this word is stirring something in you, let it rise, let it push past the fear, let it say, yes, God, I need your strength right now, not later, not someday, but now I will strengthen you and help you. That is what he said. That is what he is doing. Even now, as you listen, you may not feel it yet, but faith does not wait for feeling. Faith moves when the heart is trembling, and that movement begins the moment you say, I am not enough, but you are. And that is where everything starts to change. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That is the final blow to fear. That is the line that silences every lie in your mind, because it is not your hand that holds on. It is his. You may feel like you are barely standing. You may think you are about to fall, but the truth is your foundation is not built on emotion or energy. It is built on the strength of his hand, not a weak hand, not a tired hand, but a righteous right hand. That means justice. That means authority. That means power. And that is what is under you right now. Not maybe, not if you behave perfectly, but always. There is a peace that comes when you realize you are not the one holding everything together. You were never meant to carry the weight of your life alone. And yet, so many do. We try to fix things. We try to be strong. We act like we are fine when inside we are breaking. But God never called you to perform for him. He called you to rest in him. There is rest in his grip. There is calm in his authority. There is safety in his presence. And yes, even when the world around you shakes, you can still be held. If you truly believe that his righteous right hand is upholding you, then you will stop looking for validation in the wrong places. You will stop chasing peace in things that cannot offer it. This is not about pretending you are not afraid. This is about knowing that fear has no control over the hand that holds you, and that hand is steady, unshaken, always sure. Some of you are in the middle of storms right now, not the kind people can see, but the kind that rage in the soul. And I want you to know this verse was written for you, not for the strong, not for the certain, but for the ones who feel like everything might fall apart. And God says, no, I will uphold you. And he means it. That is not a poetic line for a sermon. It is reality for every heart willing to receive it. You are held now. You are safe now, because his hand has not failed you, and it never will. What if the fear you are carrying is not yours to bear? What if the weight that has kept you awake night after night is not proof of weakness, but a sign that you have forgotten who is holding you? Have you made peace with anxiety? Have you accepted fear as your new normal? You were never created for that. And the word of God stands in front of your fear like a wall. Isaiah 41 verse 10 is not a suggestion. It is a divine declaration carved into eternity to reach you now in this moment. When your heart is worn thin and your spirit is searching for something solid to stand on, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. That is the full promise. And the question now is this: will you live under it or outside of it? Because there is no middle ground. You are either standing on this truth or being swept away by everything that contradicts it. The world offers distractions, but no peace. It offers noise, but no comfort. It offers opinions, but no foundation. What God offers is not a temporary feeling, but an eternal position. You are held, you are known, you are strengthened, you are never alone, and that does not change with your emotions or your circumstances. That is what it means to be upheld by his righteous hand. But here is where it becomes real. Faith is not passive. It demands a response. You can hear these words and feel a moment of hope. But if you walk away and go back to thinking the same way, living the same way, then fear will return and take even more ground. This truth only becomes power when it becomes your foundation. So I ask you to make a decision, not next week, not when things get easier, but now. Let this verse be the first thing you declare in the morning and the last thing you whisper at night. Let it shape how you think, how you speak, how you respond. When fear knocks again, and it will, fear always returns, but now you are armed. You are no longer the same. The word has been spoken, and it has planted something in you that the world cannot take away. In the next message, we will go deeper into what it means to speak the word of God over your own life, to turn truth into a daily weapon that pushes back darkness, not just for a moment, but for a lifetime. If you are serious about living free, if you are done letting fear write your story, then do not miss it. Your breakthrough does not come when fear disappears. Your breakthrough begins when faith rises in at the middle of it. I will be here walking with you every step, because this is not about one verse. This is about a life built on the unshakable promises of God. And that life starts now